want to say congratulations. Congratulations on the kid. That's great.
Yeah, we have
Hodge Jr.
Hodge Jr.'s here, so we got our little baby boy.
That's fantastic.
You ready to get back into this? I haven't done this in a while.
No, I missed it, man. So I'm glad you're back, and let's get into it.
So clearly the biggest news over the last couple weeks is the NFL lockout is over before they missed any games. Who called that?
I think it was you.
I did call it.
I got it too. You know, this is one time I'm really glad I'm wrong because I really, you know, I started realizing I'm really going to miss football, and I'm just really excited about the season. But I'm glad I was wrong. I'm glad that they settled it. So what do you got? Winners, losers? What do you got?
Winners, losers. I think the players won a lot, but I think what they, it's hard to say, but I'm going to go with the players won just a little bit.
I think the one thing that tips it to the owners is they got the 10-year deal and they didn't get the out. Right, 10 years is a long time. You figure none. I mean, very few of the players, if any, that are playing right now will be playing when this deal's up, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it'd been nice to get that out. But you know, I think there was at the end. I think you could tell there was really a motivation on both sides to get this done. You know, don't kill the golden goose. I mean, the sport's so popular right now. But again, I'm glad it happened. Look forward to this season. And I think Goodell wins out of this too.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of
looks like a winner.
Right. He looked like the Dark Knight for a while. I mean, a lot of players saying some bad things about him, but it looks like he, you know, at the end of the day, you know, he came through with the rep from the players union, and I think it was good.
Yeah, I think one of the crazy things, Ben, just how many trades have occurred, and you don't think about it because, you know, in a normal offseason they have months to make these trades and acquisitions and things. But now it's such a collapsed time, and it was just like you're just watching SportsCenter, and this guy gets traded, and this guy gets traded.
It was a beautiful thing.
And we're gonna have to get into that later because we got to talk about those trades and what teams are going. But
yeah, we'll do like an NFL preview.
Like once the lockout was over, it was just like excitement just came because you know all these trades were happening and they're signing people. I think it was
almost surreal.
It was just a great atmosphere.
No, I enjoyed it. It was great.
All right, so sticking with lockout, the NBA is obviously in their lockout, in the midst of it, and now we've got players going to Europe, maybe China.
I'm not so sanguine about this lockout. I think, you know, I guess I was a pessimist on the other one though, right? But I think this really will. I think there's very, very fundamental differences between the players and the owners. So, you know, when I first heard something about the Europe thing, you know, Kobe's talking to Turkey, and some of these players talking about going to China, I was like, there's no way this is going to happen. I'm kind of getting the feeling that this may actually happen. I mean, it just kind of seems like this is going to be long term, and then why not go make some money?
I think if you would have asked me about 4 to 6 weeks ago what was going to happen with this thing, I would have told you they're going to miss a lot of games. I don't know if they're even going to have the season because they're just so at odds about where things are at, and the players kind of have really had the edge over the owners in the last couple of years with their contracts and those kinds of things. But once I started seeing people were actually talking about, you know, going to play in Europe and these players going overseas, that's got to really scare the owners, because I know a lot of the owners were talking like when the NHL had their lockout, they really stood up and they made a deal that was good for them, and they had to give up a lot of games and money for that.
Right.
But I don't know that they had the same thing where these players were like, well, whatever, I'll just go play somewhere else. And I think that that's really good. I think that's going to impact. I think they'll get something done this year, whereas before I didn't think they were going to have a season.
I think the owners are in two camps. I think it's the NBA's become Major League Baseball, where you have the haves and the have-nots. So you have the big franchises, you have the Knicks, you have the Lakers, you have the Chicago Bulls, you have the Miami Heat. They're the haves, and they want the season to go, right? And then you have the have-nots, the Sacramentos of the world, you know, the Charlottes, you know, the smaller New Orleans, the smaller market teams. Those owners need a deal. So I think what's going to happen, the owners may actually fracture before the players. I think you're right. This is going to put more pressure on them because these players, hey, I'm going to make a few mil while this is all down. But I think if there's not a good deal for the owners, these small market teams are going to go away. There's no way they can compete.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if any of the smaller players, non-big name players, what they think of the players going overseas and whether that kind of hurts kind of their you know, collective nature of being the Players Association.
Right. And I'll tell you, I hope I'm wrong on this too. I hope they settle this because I think that was the most compelling NBA season in decades.
It was.
And it would be nice to see that continue. So.
All right. So another major story going on. Tiger teed off today at the Bridgestone in Akron, Ohio, and he's playing. He's back. But just a couple weeks ago, fired his caddy. What do you make of like the Tiger situation right now?
I keep thinking Tiger's going to come back and he's kind of making the right moves. That was just odd when he fired the caddy. But
Stevie Williams,
right? It wasn't.
Stevie Williams for what, 12 years?
Yeah, and all those championships he won with him. And I think what was weird was Stevie's reaction. He immediately turned on him. I just thought that was odd. You know, immediately the guy's not loyal. I was loyal to him, and you lose respect for the guy because what happened to him and with his personal life. That struck me as odd, and it just strikes me that Tiger's at odds with people that we kind of don't know about.
Yeah, I think there's a bigger story there than kind of anything you know right now. I think Stevie, to me, had a point because, you know, Tiger was off for a while trying to figure out his whole sex scandal and getting over that and rehab or whatever, you know, from being a sex addict. And then, you know, he's injured, he's taking tournaments off. I mean, that's a real impact on Stevie. I mean, it's because he only, I mean, I'm assuming, he only makes money if Tiger plays in a tournament, you know? And he didn't go out and find a new guy to caddy for or anything like that, so he kind of stuck around. So I kind of felt bad.
Well, he did. He
just kind of was at the end of.
Well, he did caddy for Adam Scott a little bit.
He did, but I mean, they
allegedly now that bothered Tiger. I read where that potentially bothered him, but
I mean, Tiger wasn't doing anything, so I don't think he has any right to be upset about it.
I think you're right. There's more of this story, and I think, you know, Tiger's now got his schoolboy pal.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to last long. He's going to have to find somebody else. But.
Right, but I just think, I don't know. It seems like Tiger's not on the right track. I mean, and who knows? I mean,
he's changing his swing.
He may blow doors this weekend and win the whole thing. I don't think. I think he may be competitive, but I don't think he's going to win it. But anyway, I think there's just stay tuned on that story. Yeah. Should be good.
All right, so we'll get into baseball a little bit. It is summer, and I guess baseball is the talk of the summer, right? So the latest story coming out of baseball is about Alex Rodriguez and his poker gambling.
I guess he's playing poker the Hollywood Stars.
Yeah, what's your take on this?
I think this is going to be a problem for him. I think it's illegal gambling, and you know, we talked a couple weeks ago about Pete Rose.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I mean, it kind of ties in, right? I mean, the Major League Baseball is going to get a whiff of illegal gambling. You're going to be in trouble, and I think he's going to end up getting suspended for this. And I think that you can't be cohorting with gamblers. You can't be doing it.
So these guys can't have. I mean, I guess I haven't read all the details, but it sounded to me like kind of, hey, they're, you know, Hollywood stars, Alex Rodriguez are playing like a home game poker, big stakes. I mean, bigger stakes than you and I would play, right? But isn't it just some guys sitting around having some entertainment?
I think it's going to spook Major League Baseball. I think it's the one button you can't press.
I know.
I saw an interview with Bill Madden today, who's the you know, he writes for the Daily News in New York, and the big baseball guy who does the Yankees. And he said, like what I said the other day. He said gambling is the cardinal sin of baseball. It's the one thing you can't do. So I mean, I hope he doesn't get suspended. Maybe that turns out as like, well, it's just one of those things. You know, it's 5 guys. But I mean, if it turns out to be a little more, I mean, I think he could be facing a suspension on that. But
yeah, I think it's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, to me, it's, you know, a home game. I mean, I've played some poker with guys before for money, and you know,
you're suspended from Major League Baseball.
I guess I would be suspended from Major League Baseball if I could play it. But you know, I kind of think it's guys having fun, and I just don't look at it as a big deal. And I'm sure baseball will, but I think it's kind of ridiculous.
I will see.
All right, so sticking with baseball, obviously the trade deadline came and passed. What's your take on the winners and losers there? Who did something?
Well, I think my biggest winners are, first of all, I think the Cardinals really won. They picked up Rafael Furcal. I think they really filled that shortstop need. I think that's, and now La Russa's sort of he's coming full voice now. He looks at some run-ins with the Brewers over this week. It's in the big matchup they have with them. So I looked at them. I think the Pirates really helped themselves. They got Derek Lee from the Orioles. He's going over to first base. They got Ludwig, who's going to help them as far as a position player. And I think San Francisco. I mean, they had Beltran came in, had that bat. Is really going to help Sandoval kind of, you know, protect him. So
I mean, San Francisco definitely needed a bat in their lineup, and I think that was going to be kind of my big winner there, because it just seemed like once he got there, they kind of started scoring some more runs, and I think that could be really big for them going. I mean, they've had the pitching all year long, they've been eking out the wins, but you know, you need a little bit more offense to get going.
Right.
What about your losers? Cause
my first loser was the Yankees. I think because the Yankees didn't do anything. And I mean, the Red Sox, I mean, they're a wrecking machine. And you know, I have the baseball package, so I watch some of the Red Sox games. I mean, they're going to be tough to beat in the postseason. You would think the Yankees would have made some move for some pitching, and try to show up that and get another bat in the lineup. And I think my second loser is the Indians. I think they're way overpaid.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. My loser was going to be the Indians. I think one of the things that I found most interesting about the trade deadline is that in baseball it means so much more than any other sport. because these teams, I guess maybe it's because there's only so many teams. There's so few teams make it to the playoffs that there's such a push that they really put in a lot of effort around these trade deadlines. But I thought what they gave up like 4 or 5 players.
Well, they gave up 2 of their top pitching prospects.
I mean, I just thought that was brutal. But
well, in I think too is a lot of this proves out as to how the guys do, right? So if they trade Jimenez and he goes 8-0 and they win the division, hey, great trade, great move, But if he goes, if he doesn't do, I mean, so I think a lot of this it's a Monday morning quarterback.
It's a lot of risk reward, and I guess there's got to be a lot of money that comes in the postseason that the GMs are really trying to get, and to give up that much future for a let's win right now kind of attitude.
It's like the George Allen, the future's now.
It's kind of crazy. All right, well, that's all the show we got for you today. As we mentioned, we'll be having an NFL preview. Yeah, coming up.
We're gonna be picking some games this year, aren't we?
Every week.
I won't want to embarrass you, but you were to think before you say yes to that. But I think it'd be, we pick some games, they pick some college games.
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be great.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
We're gonna be back. Thanks.